Perfection is just a way of procrastinating, just that you're giving it a fancy name. Fall in love with the journey rather than the result. A lot of life is filled with boring habits, boring decisions, and even though we think that we crave excitement, what will really change your life is consistent boring habits. A lot of life is filled with boring habits, boring decisions, and even though we think that we crave excitement, what will really change your life is consistent boring habits over intense short spurs of things that you're doing, whether it's growing a YouTube channel, growing a relationship, growing a career, growing a business. Every single thing, you need boring habits as the bedrock of what you need to do. So let's get into it while I dissect this. Okay, so first and foremost, I think we have this thing where we think that, oh, something is boring, so it means you should not do it. Matter of fact, because it is even boring, that's why you should spread it out. It's not something that you should aim to finish in one day. So I'll give an example. Let's say you want to start a course, you want to upskill, you want to learn something, you want to learn more, right? And you go for intensity. You're like, I'll just take this 2-hour course and then I'll know everything about it. Yes, there's a time and place for stuff like that, but majority of the time you're just cramming and if you're not applying that thing you're learning immediately, you're most likely going to forget maybe up to 70% of what you just learned. And that is if you have really good retentive memory. You must be implementing it immediately. That's why cramming never lasts. So if let's say you have an exam and you haven't been studying and you cram for it like 2 hours before, you may successfully write everything down. But if I ask you next week, oh, so what was that thing that you were learning about? You don't know because you've poured it out where you wanted to pour it out. But with boring habits, it sort of like reconditions your brain. It even starts teaching you how to like solve problems. So for example, upskilling. Now let's say you're taking a course, like I'll use HTML. So I'll give you an example with my own life. So for the longest time, I've worked with HTML. Because I work in email marketing, right? So I've used HTML, CSS, like JavaScript. I always see it because if they give you like an HTML code or to send emails, essentially what is behind the beautiful like boxes and all the things you're seeing, right? There's an HTML code behind it. And for the longest time, I used to finesse my way out of it, but eventually just got embarrassing. I was just like, I've been finessing this thing, but there are some things you definitely cannot finesse. And I got tired of always like frantically typing to ChatGPT or even going to like a higher up at work. So eventually what I decided to do was to just stretch out like a coding course, like HTML coding course. Like I had done others, but I did them in this intensity, short burst intensity thing that I'm telling you people about. But I decided actually like I'm comfortable, I'm at work, I can put like 30 minutes of HTML learning every single day. And when I tell you that thing has drastically changed my life, drastically changed the way I look at code, drastically changed the way I approach even creating email templates and things, right? And it's the same for you. If there's a habit, it's the same thing. Don't focus on the results of something rather than the journey, because the journey is what makes the goal worth it. So for example, I used to be somebody that I was always focusing on the results from the gym, like, oh, okay, and when I go to the gym, this is what I want to become 65 kg, I want to and then I want my waist And you know the funny thing, I always used to actually achieve that goal. I'll achieve the goal, and then after achieving the goal, I'm like, okay, what's the point of going to gym? Because I've achieved my goal, so why am I stressing myself? But that's not how it works. It's a lifelong commitment, as you know. And if you've ever been into exercise, you know what I'm talking about, essentially. And it's so annoying, and it usually used to be so annoying because after achieving my goal, I'll now be on a drought. Like I wouldn't go to the gym for a long time because why? I've achieved my goals. But that's not the way it is. But that's the way that a lot of people approach a lot of things, not just exercise, not just upskilling. So I'll definitely say fall in love with the journey rather than the results. The same thing in business as well. Fall in love with the journey. The person that you're becoming when you're starting that business. The person you're not the type of person to like, oh, okay, I'm now solving problems. And you know one thing about it, if you're consistently doing something small every day, you start seeing that your mind will start opening thoughts to you. Your mind will start showing you things that you never even thought about before. You will start just knowing the thing better because you've sat with it in your spirit for a longer amount of time than just doing short bursts of intensity. Also, in this point, I want to talk about like how relationships are. And I've seen threads on Twitter or on social media where people are like, oh, if this thing is not happening in my relationship, if we don't argue, if this thing is not happening, then like I'm feeling somehow, or maybe he's boring, or this person, that kind of thing is toxicity. I just want to say like, hey, arrest me. But I think if a calm situation or relationship is putting your nervous system on, like, is making you uneasy, maybe you need to go to therapy, girl. Sorry, I should have held your hand when I said that. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, if something that is calm is giving you problems or jitters, then that's a problem. You need to unpack. You need to actually like dissect why that thing is happening to you. Do you know what I mean? The best way that I'll advise to implement boring habits is to connect it to your bigger vision. So for example, instead of just saying, oh, I have to do these boring habits every single day, or I have to do this thing every single day, you need to think, what will my future self be like? What type of thing is my future self doing, and what type of thing is the person that I know I'm supposed to be doing, right? And so if you say, oh, the person I'm supposed to become does not procrastinate, the person I'm supposed to become does not do that, it will just help the things that you're doing. Or the person I'm supposed to become, so using that HTML example, the person I'm supposed to become is a HTML guru. Like there's no code, there's no matter how messed up the code is that somebody gives to me, that gives to my future self, that I'm not able to untangle, that sort of thing. So if you tie it to sort of that big vision, so I work with somebody that has done this thing for like 20 years, I guess, and every single time the way he just used to solve the thing, I used to be like, oh, this is what I want to be, this is my higher self. So when I'm doing the 30 minutes every day, I'm hoping that the effects will compound, and surely the effects have been compounding. I'm definitely not there yet, but yeah, that's just what I want to say. You must connect it to the vision of your bigger self. Next thing I have to say is that you must remove perfection from your vocab. You have to remove perfection from your vocabulary, because if not, you're not going to do anything. I feel that perfection is just a way of procrastinating, just that you're giving it a fancy name. Nothing is perfect. Nobody is perfect. The only thing that's perfect are things that God has created, right? But your character is not perfect, because your character is it's a collection of all the paradigms that your parents gave you. It's a collection of all the good habits, bad habits, everything that you've learned over time, and all the practices you have done. So no one creation that is not of God. For example, like there's no man-made thing that is perfect. So just put that thing out there. Just do it anyhow. Do it messy. The first one you do may not be the best one, or let's say you want to change something in your life. It's not going to be perfect the first day you do it. So just do it first of all. One thing for sure is that you're going to keep getting better as you keep doing it. So remove the thought of oh, it has to be perfect, because at the end of the day, you can't even achieve perfection. So please let us all be so for real. Okay, the final point I have is that life does not change because of short, intense bursts. Life changes because of small habits. That's why they tell you, start investing tiny, like in small droplets. Before you know it, it's going to form an ocean. That's why they tell you, lots of what they tell you is like, oh, do things bit by bit, because at the end of the day, it's going to become like something bigger than you ever imagined. So yeah, remember today to focus on the boring habits or things that you're overlooking because you think it's too boring. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. It's something that really switched in my mind when I started going for things consistently rather than intensely. And even with things that I'm doing, examples in my life, this YouTube channel, I swear to God, if you've been here for the longest time, you know that I've had this YouTube for so long, and the way that I've been growing is like just bit by bit. Of course, sometimes there'll be like spurts of growth, but for the most part, it's like tiny. And yeah, how they even say it, droplets of water will form an ocean or whatever. But yeah, good luck, and remember to embrace all the boring habits today. And if your nervous system is fighting it, you need to unpack that. Okay, I love you so much. If you enjoyed this video, then click on this playlist right here. And if you're new here, hi girl, my name is Cookie, and I'm so glad that you're here. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment down below. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.